Dober večer. Se sliši kaj? Jaz sem se rodil s trobento, pa ne vem, koliko smem govoriti ali ne. Dame in gospodje, lepo pozdravljeni na nocojšnjem večeru, ki je posvečen zdravju. Zdravstvene teme zanimajo ljudi. Ta program, seminar zdravstveni, je poseben, boste videli zakaj, ampak naprej vam lahko povem, da zato, ker zajame vse, kar smo ljudje, in bi vam nakratko predstavil tudi našega dragega gosta. Dr. Sandoval je študij medicine končal na sveučilišču Loma Linda v Kaliforniji. Nato pa je postal travmatolog, pozneje v življenju še strokovnjak, specialist za preventivno medicino. Med opravljanjem dela zdravnika misionarja, zdravnik misionar je nekdo, ki je kot zdravnik pomaga ljudem na področjih, ki... Zdaj smo se izgubili. Zdaj vklopim jaz trobento.
It was mine.
Ja.
It was this one.
Torej, služboval je kot zdravnik misionar v Trinidadu in Tobagu in takrat je začutil nagnjenje do zdravstveno-prosvetiteljskega dela. Začel je snovati in izvajati zdravstvene programe, radijske in televizijske oddaje in javna predavanja. Pozneje je leta delal kot zdravstveni vodja in predsednik inštituta Uchee Pines v Združenih državah, zdravstvenega inštituta. Pred nedavnim je pa ustanovil Paradigm Ministries, službe Novi vzorec, ki že nakazujejo, kam gre. Živimo v nekem vzorcu, ampak si želimo novega, pravi vzorec si želimo in priložnost ste dobili zdaj tudi vi. Ta program se osredotoča na obnovo življenja, se pravi svobodo od razvad, izboljšanje medčloveških odnosov, odkrivanje smisla in uživanje zdravja. To je nekaj, kar potrebujemo, upam, da se strinjate, tudi v Sloveniji. Ko smo stopili z doktorjem Sandovalom v stik, je bil takoj pripravljen svojo človekoljubno dejavnost izvajati tudi pri nas, kakor to dela po vsem svetu, potuje in dela prav to. Seminar Zakon življenja osvetljuje tako fizično podlago za zdravje, kakor tudi duševno in tisto, ki presega tukaj in zdaj. Kaže na vse splošno temeljno zakonitost in ko jo boste slišali, boste vedeli, da je samoumevna, po drugi strani v vase usmerjenem sekularnem ali duhovnem vzdušju še kako preseneča. Temeljna stvar pa preseneča, ker smo se mi malo oddaljili od temeljnih stvari. Želimo si, da tudi osveži slušatelje in vsem pomaga k modrim odločitvam za res pozitivno življenje. In dobrodošli še enkrat na seminarju Zakon življenja.
Well, thank you. It is a pleasure to be here with you.
Hvala vam, zadovoljstvo je biti z vami tukaj.
And I wish I could speak your language, but I don't.
Rad bi govoril slovenščino, ampak ne govorim.
And I don't think I will learn it in this week.
In se mi zdi, da se ne bom naučil slovenščine v tem tednu. It's a pity.
Yes. It took me long enough to learn as much Spanish as I know. Dolgo časa sem potreboval, da se naučim toliko španščine, kolikor jo govorim. I can survive in a country with Spanish, but not terribly well.
Lahko bi preživel v deželi, kjer govorijo špansko, ampak ne najboljše.
But I'm grateful that many countries also speak English.
Zadovoljen sem, hvaležen, da tudi drugod govorijo angleško.
Because I'm a little bit stuck with English.
Ker sem nekako najbolj usmerjen na angleščino.
Right. My daughter and I had the privilege of spending the last couple of weeks in Switzerland.
S hčerko sva imela priložnost in prednost prebiti 2 tedna v Švici.
And then flying over here today.
Danes sva pripotovala sem.
And so we get to know your country.
Zdaj se bova potrudila spoznati vašo državo.
And already we've seen lots of smiles.
Do zdaj smo že videli veliko nasmeškov.
So I can tell that you're a friendly country.
Tako vem, da ste prijateljska država.
And the last half of August will be in Romania.
Zadnji del avgusta bom preživel v Romuniji.
But in between I go home.
Vmes bomo šli domov.
And I exchange daughters.
In bo zamenjal hčerki.
Because usually when I'm traveling, I'll take one of the children with me.
Tega nismo povedali. Yes. Navadno vzamem kakšnega otroka s sabo. Pozabil sem povedati, da dr. Sandoval ima 6 otrok in si je srečno poročen. I told them about your 6 children.
Yeah, my wife is the one that needs the applause. You
know? Ženi bi bilo treba ploskati.
Yeah, I just got to watch.
Jaz opazujem.
And so yes, I think because of my background in medicine and health,
zdi se mi, da zaradi tega, ker imamo ozadje v medicini in zdravju,
it has given me, I think, a perspective that many people don't have.
Imam pogled, ki ga morda nimajo mnogi drugi ljudje.
Because I have worked from the surgical unit.
Delal sem tako na kirurškem oddelku.
Right, to intensive care.
Na intenzivni negi.
And in the emergency department. Here, hold up there. Yeah, there you go. Because if you hold down here, then it becomes
Žal.
And from inside the hospital to clinics.
V bolnici in tudi v ambulantah.
Right, and then also.
Prav tako.
And also in lifestyle centers.
Delal sem tudi v zdravstvenih centrih drugačne vrste.
Right, so I'm familiar also with natural remedies and lifestyle interventions.
Torej sem seznanjen z naravnimi načini zdravljenja in tudi medicino, ki temelji na načinu življenja.
Right, so herbs and water,
voda in rastline,
medications and surgery,
operacije in tudi zdravila.
But also, I have in this process learned something else.
Ampak sem vmes spotoma se naučil česa drugega tudi.
Now, if you go to the hospital,
ko se znajdete v bolnici,
or to your doctor,
ali srečate zdravnika oziroma greste k zdravniku po pomoč,
and you have a particular problem,
in imate težavo, neko posebno težavo,
sometimes your doctor is going to be able to take care of that problem.
Včasih bo zdravnik zmožen poskrbeti za vas glede tega.
But then the doctor might have to refer you to a specialist.
Ampak lahko vas bo poslal tudi specialistu.
Right? And so you have a specialist in the medical management of the nervous system.
Tako imate specialista za en del živčnega sistema.
Oh. And then there's doctors that And then there are doctors that are specialists in the surgical care of the nervous system.
Imate pa kirurga, ki torej opravlja svoje delo za živčni sistem.
And you have a doctor that's a specialist in the lungs.
Imate strokovnjaka za pljuča.
And another one that's a specialist in the heart.
Drugega za srce.
And another one in the blood vessels.
Drugega za ožilje, specialista za ožilje.
And so on.
Right? In tako naprej.
But and often what we do is we think of an individual as different compartments.
Ko premišljujemo o človeku, pogosto ga zapopademo kot sestavljenega iz različnih oddelkov.
Right, so I see this doctor for this compartment.
In grem k enemu zdravniku za ta oddelek.
I see that doctor for this compartment.
Poiščem nekoga drugega za neko drugo zadevo.
And I see this doctor for that compartment.
In še za enega bom našel zdravnika.
And then if I'm having problems in my relationships, I see the counselor.
Če pa imam težave V odnosih bom šel k svetovalcu.
Right? And if I'm having problems in other areas of my life, then, I see somebody else.
In če mi težave delajo neke druge stvari v življenju, potem poiščem strokovnjaka.
And I've come to a very brilliant conclusion.
Prišel sem do sijajne zaključka, ja.
Each one of us
Vsak od nas
is one.
je en sam.
Right? Each one of us is one.
Samo smo en.
And something that affects us in one part of our life
Če nas nekaj prizadane v enem delu življenja,
has an impact on other areas of our lives as well,
vpliva tudi na druga področja v našem življenju,
because we are one.
ker smo eno.
Right? Now, if we were separate compartments,
Če bi bili sestavljeni iz razdeljenih oddelkov,
then one problem in one part of my life could stay there.
potem bi težava, ki jo imam v tem delu, ostala v tem delu.
But the reality is that one problem in one area of my life
Resnica je pa, da težava, ki se nanaša na eno področje mojega življenja,
has impacts on the other aspects of my life as well.
vpliva na druge vidike življenja, mojega življenja.
So this week, while we are talking about health,
Ta teden, ko bomo govorili o zdravju,
and I am a doctor,
in sem zdravnik,
and but we're also going to be talking about health in regards to our entire lives.
bomo govorili o zdravju celostno.
And we're going to dive into topics that a medical doctor would not necessarily cover.
In bomo govorili o aspektu življenja, ki ga navadno zdravnik ne bo pogledal,
Right? Because I
obravnaval.
know that those other aspects are very important.
To je zato, ker jaz vem, da so ti drugi aspekti življenja zelo pomembni.
All right, so here we have a tree.
Tukaj imamo drevo.
And when you walk up to a tree, what's the first thing that you notice?
Ko se približujete drevesu, kaj najprej opazite? Apples. Somebody.
Okay, so the fruit, the leaves,
Lahko je to listje,
the shape of the tree,
sadež, oblika drevesa.
right? And when you walk up to a tree, what is it that you do not notice?
Ko se približujete drevesu, česa ne opazite?
Ah, all right.
Yes.
So let's say that you have a section of the tree that's not doing well,
Vzemimo, da imate del drevesa, ki mu ne gre dobro.
right? The leaves are turning brown,
Listje oziroma spremeni barvo,
right? The fruit is dying.
tudi sad odumira.
This tree is going to represent us
To drevo predstavlja nas v tem hipu
and our health.
in naše zdravje.
And if you have some bad fruit and bad leaves,
Torej, če imate nekaj sadja, ki ni dobro, ali pa listja,
those are our symptoms,
to so znaki, bolezenski znaki.
right? Symptoms are very obvious to us.
Te lahko zapažamo.
If you have pain, you know you have pain.
Če vas boli, veste, da vas boli.
If you're itching, you know that you're itching.
Če imate srbečico, prav tako veste,
If
kaj
you're
vam je.
coughing, you know you're coughing,
Če kašljate, prav tako.
right? So symptoms are very obvious. They're things that we can see very easily.
Bolezenska znamenja so jasna, ker jih zapopademo hitro.
Now, if you have symptoms,
Če imate bolezenske znake,
what do you usually do for it?
kaj z njimi naredite? V zvezi z njimi. Ignore.
Okay, you ignore it.
Lahko jih zanemarite,
Yeah. And then it gets bigger
potem se povečajo.
and bigger,
In še več.
right?
Večji
And
postanejo.
then what do you do?
In kaj potem naredite? V drugem koraku.
Yeah.
We go to the doctor.
Yes.
To our doctor.
Yeah, so the doctor is going to give you a pill,
Zdravnik vam bo dal zdravila.
right? And for every illness that you have, there's some pill to take.
In za vsako bolezen, ki jo lahko si predstavljate, obstaja zdravila.
Now, if you go to the natural doctor,
Če greste k nekomu, ki na naravni način zdravi,
well, they might have a pill too.
morda bodo tudi oni imeli kakšno tableto.
It just might be a supplement or an herb.
Morda bo to kakšna rastlina ali rastlinski dodatek.
But at least in the United States,
Vsaj v Združenih državah.
you can go to one store and find all of the drugs that you need.
greste v neko trgovino in tam najdete vse različna zdravila.
And you can go to the other store and find all of the herbs that you need.
Ali pa v neko drugo trgovino in tam dobite rastline za vsako bolezen.
Higher. Oh, Stefan. His needs higher?
No, just the hand.
Oh, the microphone closer to your mouth. There you go.
Vas bom poučil, da imam krč v eni roki, pa zdaj tako. Okay.
Yeah, there we go. All right. So, if you have some bad fruit and bad leaves on your tree,
Če na drevesu imate slabo listje ali pa nedober sad,
does it fix the problem to pick off the bad leaves and the bad fruit?
ali boste rešili problem, če posmukate listje in sadeže?
Well, I mean, it'll help,
Pomagalo bo,
right? It'll help,
visually.
but it's not really going to fix the whole problem.
Pravzaprav težave sploh ne bo rešila.
All right. Well, let's imagine that you have pain and you have pain in your back right between your shoulder blade.
Predstavljajte si, da imate bolečino in ravno med lopaticami.
And that pain, it came on suddenly.
Naenkrat zlepa se je zgodilo, na lepem se je začelo, no?
It's sharp pain,
Zelo akutna bolečina je,
and it's
Ostra.
it's very, very painful.
je zelo boleče.
And you can't lay down on your back,
Ne morete ležati na hrbtu
and it's just miserable.
in ste v bednem stanju.
And because you cannot sleep,
In ker ne morete spati,
you at 2 o'clock in the morning you go to the emergency department,
greste na urgenco ob 2 ponoči.
right? And but there's been this big multiple bus accident.
Ampak se je prav predtem zgodila strašna nesreča, kjer so udeleženi avtobusi.
And they are just full of trauma patients and they can't take care of you.
In oni tam zdaj ta hip ne morejo skrbeti za vas, ker oskrbujejo ogromno število drugih težkih bolnikov.
But there's a nurse out in the waiting room
Ampak tam je v čakalnici ena sestra
and you go, "Oh, I have pain in my back."
in ji rečete, joj, boli me v hrbtu.
She's like, "Here's a prescription for pain medication."
In ona pravi, evo, vzemite tablete, boste dobili proti bolečinam.
So I don't know if you have it around here, but we do in the United States.
Jaz ne vem, če je tako tukaj, ampak v Združenih državah
But you find that 24-hour pharmacy,
imate pač lekarne, ki delujejo celo noč.
you know, and you get your medication
Dobite recept,
and you take it,
vzamete zdravilo,
and after a while it starts taking a little bit of the pain away.
v kratkem, čez nekaj časa se zdi, kot da je neko olajšanje.
But the pain's still there.
Ampak bolečina je še vedno tu.
You still can't lay on your back.
Še vedno ne morete ležati na hrbtu.
And so the next day you go see your doctor.
In naslednji dan greste k zdravniku.
And your doctor does something amazing.
In zdravnik naredi nekaj osupljivega.
They do an exam
Naredijo raziskavo.
and they look at your back.
Pogledajo vaš hrbet.
And he discovers why you have back pain.
In ugotovijo, zakaj vas boli hrbet.
You should not have said what you said to your spouse.
Ne bi smeli povedati tega, kar ste povedali zakoncu.
Right? And so you have a knife in your back.
In imate zdaj nož, jaz vidim, I see multiple knives.
Right? Yeah, well, you have a few knives in your back, yes.
Kar nekaj jih je, ja.
Right. So, did the medication take care of the problem?
Ali je zdravilo rešilo težavo?
No. But if you have pain, it's nice to be able to have something that you can take for
Če
the
vas
pain.
boli, je dobro, da obstajajo tablete, ki vam utišajo bolečino.
But what you take for the pain does not actually fix the problem.
Ampak tisto, ko ste zdravili bolečino, ni rešilo problema.
You see, the symptoms that we have are like a fire alarm.
Bolezenski znaki so kot alarm proti požaru.
Right? If the fire alarm is going off,
Če se sproži,
is that the problem,
ali je to težava?
or is it just telling you that there's another problem?
Ali je to samo signal, da obstaja neka težava? Bi.
Yeah, well, there's another problem.
Druga težava, evo,
Right.
požar je.
The problem is the fire,
Yes.
not the fire alarm,
Ne alarm, ampak požar je težava.
right? So, what you don't want to fix is the fire alarm.
ni vam treba popravljati alarma,
What you want to fix is the fire,
ampak si želite rešiti težavo z ognjem.
right? But let's say that you're tired.
Ampak vi ste recimo utrujeni
That fire alarm is keeping you awake.
in vam ne da alarm spati.
And so you get a pillow and you put it over the fire alarm.
In potem vzamete blazino in jo date na alarm.
Yeah, and so
In utišate zvok.
right?
Very nice.
And you're tired of holding it there. So you get some tape
Torej, ne morete ustrajati, pa vzamete lepilni trak.
right? And so you tape the pillow over the fire alarm and go back to sleep.
In s tem tako rešite težavo, ne, da lahko spite. To je zdaj, blazina je tam.
Now, if you die in the fire, whose fault is it?
Če vas pobere ta ogenj, čigava napaka je to?
It's your own.
Vaša.
Right? It's your own. Because you ignored the warning of the fire alarm.
Ker ste spregledali ali pa zanemarili opozorilo, ki vam ga je dal alarm.
So symptoms are like the fire alarm telling us something is wrong.
Bolezenski znaki so kot ta alarm. Signalizirajo, da je nekaj narobe.
But the symptoms are not the problem.
Ampak simptomi niso težava.
The symptoms are only the sign that there is a problem.
So samo znamenje, da obstaja problem.
Right? So if you have bad fruit and bad leaves,
Če torej imate slab sadež in slabe slabolistje,
well, they grow off of the branches,
rastejo na vejah.
right? And the branches represent our behaviors,
In veje predstavljajo vedenje.
right? Things like eating and drinking and breathing,
Tisto, kar delate, dihate, jeste, pijete.
right? So how you live is important.
Pomembno je torej, kako živite.
If you have a bad branch,
Če veja slaba,
you're going to end up with some bad fruit and bad leaves off of that branch,
na njej bodo rasli slabi sadeži in slabo listje.
right? And so in my first career in medicine,
V času mojega prvega dela kariere, ko sem deloval tako, kot smo rekli,
I mostly dealt with symptoms,
sem se v glavnem ukvarjal s simptomi.
and then I switched to lifestyle.
In potem sem izbral medicino življenskega sloga.
And so now we started looking at behaviors,
In zdaj se ukvarjam z vedenjem.
right? Why are you sick?
Zakaj ste bolni?
What are you eating?
Kaj jeste?
What are you not eating?
Česa ne jeste?
Are you exercising?
Ali telovadite?
If you're not, why not?
Če ne, zakaj ne?
Right? Are you drinking enough water?
Ali zaužijete dovolj vode?
Are you drinking too many other things?
Ali pijete preveč drugega morda?
Right? How much rest are you getting at night?
Koliko nočnega spanca si privoščite?
Right, all of these different things.
Vse te stvari.
Right? And they're important.
In te stvari so pomembne.
Right? And if you have a good branch,
Če imate dobro vejo,
then it's going to promote good leaves and good fruit.
na taki bodo rasli dobri sadeži in pravo listje.
But it took me a while to figure this out.
Ampak kar nekaj časa sem potreboval, da sem to pogruntal, ugotovil.
That what people do, they do for a reason.
Ljudje delajo, kar delajo iz nekega vzroka.
Right? So if you only get to the behavior,
Če se samo ukvarjate z obnašanjem, z vedenjem,
but if you don't get to the reason behind the behavior,
ampak se ne lotite razloga za to obnašanje,
well, then you haven't gotten very far.
potem ne boste daleč prišli.
Now, the branches do not grow from themselves.
Veje ne rastejo same,
They grow off of the trunk.
ampak iz debla.
And the trunk represents our needs.
Deblo nam tukaj predstavlja potrebe, naše
Right.
potrebe.
You and I, we need oxygen,
Potrebujemo kisik,
right? We need water.
vodo,
We need food,
hrano,
right? There's different things that we need.
so različne potrebe.
And it's what you are that determines what you need,
To, kar ste, določa vaše potrebe.
right? If you're a plant,
Če ste rastlina,
then you have certain needs.
imate nekatere potrebe.
If you're an animal, you have different needs.
Če ste žival, imate druge potrebe, različne.
If you're a fish, you have other needs,
Če ste riba, druge.
right? So what you are determines what you need.
To, kar ste, bo določilo vaše potrebe.
And you cannot change what you need,
Ne morete spremeniti tega, kar potrebujete,
and you cannot change what you are,
in ne morete spremeniti tega, kar ste.
right? You might think, oh, well, I don't need oxygen anymore.
Morda se boste enkrat spomnili, ne rabi več kisika.
But you'll be convinced pretty quickly you're not right,
Hitro vas bo prepričalo, da nimate prav.
right? Because if you stop breathing,
Če nehate dihati,
well, it's going to get a little uncomfortable. Well, actually, it's going to get really uncomfortable really fast,
zelo hitro bo postalo zelo neprijetno.
right? And if you don't think that you need water
In če mislite, da ne potrebujete vode
and you stop drinking it,
in nehate piti,
well, you're going to find out pretty soon,
zelo hitro boste ugotovili,
well, I guess I did,
verjetno rabim vodo.
right? Now, everything that you need comes from outside of you.
Vse, kar potrebujete, pride od zunaj.
And if it remains outside of you, you die,
Če ostane tam zunaj, umrete.
right? So if the oxygen stays right at your nose,
Če kisik ostane pred vašim nosom,
you die.
umrete.
The only way that you can live
Edini način, da preživite,
is if it comes in and becomes a part of you.
če pride noter in postane del vas.
If the water stays at your lips,
Če voda obstane na vaših usnicah,
you're going to die,
boste umrli.
right? You can only live when it comes in and becomes a part of you.
Lahko živite samo, če vodo vzamete vase in ostane ona. Ustavil sem se.
Right? So you need the oxygen,
Potrebujete kisik,
but it's not the oxygen that has to blow into you.
ampak kisik se ne usili vam.
Right? You're the one that has to breathe.
Vi morate dihati.
Right? You need water,
Potrebujete vodo,
but the water isn't going to flow into you.
ampak voda ne bo kar pritekla v vas.
You have to drink it.
Morate spiti.
Right? And you need food,
Tudi hrano potrebujete.
and the food hopefully is not going to walk down your throat.
Upamo, da ne bo kar skočila niz vaše grlo.
Right? You've got to eat it.
Morate jesti.
So everything first takes in what it needs,
Vse, kar obstaja, mora najprej vzeti tisto, kar potrebuje.
and if you don't take it in, you can't live by it.
In če ne vzamete tega, kar potrebujete, ne morete živeti.
But if all you do is take things in,
Ampak če samo jemljete,
you're not going to live very long.
ne boste živeli dolgo.
Can you imagine how big you would be if you kept every bite of food you ever ate?
Ali si predstavljate, kako veliki bi bili, če bi obdržali vsak grižljaj, ki ste ga kdaj pojedli? No.
And if you kept every swallow of liquid that you drank,
Če bi obdržali v telesu vsak požirek vode, ki ste ga kdaj spili,
and every breath of air that you ever breathed,
in vsak vdih zraka, ki ste ga naredili, bi ostal pri vas,
not a single one of us would have made it into this room.
nihče ne bi mogel skozi ta vrata.
Right? We'd be absolutely huge.
Bi bil ogromni.
Right? So while everything first takes,
Čeprav vse, kar obstaja, najprej jemlje,
everything also must give.
vse mora tudi dati.
Right? The plants,
Rastline, na primer,
they take from the soil,
vzamejo iz tav,
they take from the sun,
od sonca
and they give oxygen and carbohydrates.
in dajo nam kisik in ogljikove hidrate.
Right? The riverbed,
Rečni tok
it takes of the water upstream,
vzame vodo iz višjega področja
it passes water on downstream,
in korito torej pelje vodo
right?
navzdol.
And it lets some of it filter out into the ground so that the plants can take it.
Nekaj tega gre tudi v zemljo in tako živijo tudi rastline.
So everything in nature takes
Vse
and
v naravi
gives.
jemlje in daje.
Right? Now, so those are our needs.
Tu so naštete naše potrebe.
Now, why do we have the behaviors that we do?
Zakaj se vedemo tako, kot se?
It's the behaviors that provide or supply or bring in what we need.
Torej, s pomočjo vedenja mi vzamemo to, kar potrebujemo vase.
I need oxygen, so I breathe.
Potrebujem kisik, torej diham.
I need water, so I drink.
Potrebujem vodo, zato pijem.
I need food, so I
Hrano
eat.
in jem.
Right? So the behaviors are there in order to provide for the needs.
Da bi zadovoljili potrebe, imamo neko vedenje.
Now, if I am going to experience health,
Če bom zdrav, če hočem biti zdrav,
then the behaviors need to match the needs.
Se mora vedenje ujemati s tistim, kar potrebujem.
Right? Now, I cannot change what I need.
Ne morem spremeniti potreb.
Now, in different times of my life
V različnih obdobjih mojega življenja
and under different
in v
circumstances,
različnih pogojih,
I may need a little more,
morda potrebujem česa več,
I might need a little less,
morda malo manj,
but I can never change what I need.
ampak ne morem spremeniti kaj tega, kar potrebujem.
Right? And so, my breathing, drinking, and eating must match what my needs are.
Torej, moje dihanje, pitje in prehranjevanje mora ujemati s tistim, kar potrebujem.
All right, so we have the fruit and the leaves,
Imamo sadeže in listje,
the symptoms,
bolezenske znake,
right? We have the branches,
imamo veje,
the behaviors,
vedenje,
we have the trunk,
imamo deblo,
which are our needs,
potrebe,
but it gets deeper,
ampak gre še globlje.
right? The real issue is what you don't see at the beginning.
Tisto pravo je prav tisto, kar v začetku niti ne vidite,
It's what's underground.
ker je pod zemljo.
And if you want to find out what's there,
Če hočete ugotoviti, kaj je spodaj,
you have to dig,
morate kopati.
right? And what we find at the roots is our beliefs,
Korenine predstavljajo prepričanja.
right? You do what you do because you believe what you believe,
Delate, kar delate, zato ker verjamete tisto, kar verjamete.
right? So let's say that, well, let's see, Coca-Cola is everywhere in the world. Okay. So let's say that you believe that you need Coca-Cola.
Ker je Coca-Cola posod po svetu, uporabim lahko njo. Morda si mislite, da potrebujete Coca-Cola.
Right.
Recimo, da tako mislite.
If you believe that you need Coca-Cola, what are you going to do?
Če verujete, da potrebujete Coca-Cola, kaj boste naredili? Delali.
Yeah, you're going to drink Coca-Cola
Boste pili Coca-Colo.
because your beliefs are going to drive your behaviors.
Ker vaše prepričanja bodo vzrok tega, kar
Right.
delate.
But do you need Coca-Cola?
Ampak ali potrebujete Coca-Colo?
You can just ask yourself, did humanity exist before Coca-Cola?
Lahko se preprosto vprašate, ali je človeštvo obstajalo pred Coca-Colo.
Right? If humanity existed before
Če
Coca-Cola,
je,
right, then Coca-Cola is not a need,
potem Coca-Cola ni naša potreba.
right? And so, but Coca-Cola does have things that you need,
Ampak vsebuje Coca-Cola tudi tiste stvari, ki jih potrebujete.
right? Most of Coca-Cola is water,
Večinoma je Coca-Cola voda
and you need that.
in to potrebujete.
And Coca-Cola has sugar,
Vsebuje tudi sladkor.
and you need sugar.
Tudi sladkor potrebujete.
And if you had the choice between nothing and Coca-Cola,
Če bi morali izbrati med ničimer in Coca-Colo,
well, if you drank the Coca-Cola, you would stay alive longer.
če boste pili Coca-Colo, boste dlje živeli.
But if you had the option between water
Če imate priložnost izbrati med vodo in
and
Coca-Colo
sugar from a natural source,
in sladkor iz naravnega vira,
and you had that or
in
Coca-Cola,
imate to prvo izbiro ali Coca-Colo,
well, you're not going to live as long just drinking the Coca-Cola,
ne boste tako dolgo živeli, ko pijete Coca-Colo, kakor če bi tisto drugo uživali.
right? So it's important that our beliefs match our needs.
Zelo pomembno je, da naša prepričanja ustrezajo potrebam.
Because when our beliefs match our needs, then our behaviors can supply what we need.
Če so prepričanja paralela tistemu, kar potrebujemo, potem naše vedenje priskrbi tisto, kar potrebujemo.
And then we can end up with good fruit and good leaves, good symptoms.
In tako bomo imeli pravo listje in prave sadeže, ne bomo imeli bolezenskih znakov.
Right? Now, if you have a tree that has bad fruit and bad leaves,
Če imamo pred sabo drevo, ki ima slabo listje in sadeže,
the problem
težava
is in the soil,
je v tleh.
right? It's in the soil. So you need to go looking for the source,
Morate poiskati vire.
right? Does the source have too little of what you need?
Ali vir vsebuje premalo tega, kar potrebujete,
Does the source have too much of what you need?
ali morda preveč,
Or does the source have something you do not need?
ali je tisto, kar vsebujejo tla, sploh napačno za vas. Ne potrebujete tega.
Right? So if the ground is too dry,
Če so tla presuha,
if the ground is too wet,
če so premokra,
or if you were watering the tree with diesel,
ali pa če zalivate drevo z gorivom, z nafto,
well, it's not going to work so well,
ne bo tako dobro.
right? So I need oxygen,
Potrebujem kisik,
I need water,
vodo,
I need food.
hrano.
Anybody need love?
Ali kdo potrebuje ljubezen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutno.
Yeah. I've been all over the world,
Potujem povsod po svetu, sem že bil povsod.
and I've asked people all over the world,
In povsod zastavim to vprašanje.
is there anybody that does not need love?
Ali je kdo, ki ljubezni ne potrebuje?
And I've met two people.
In sem srečal dva človeka.
Both of them were 14 years old.
Oba sta bila 14 let stara.
Both of them were male.
Moška sta bila oba.
And both of them were looking for attention.
In sta bolj kot ne hotela pritegniti pozornost.
Right? And attention is a part of love.
Ampak pozornost je del ljubezni.
So we all need love,
Vsi potrebujemo ljubezen.
right? And again, everything that you need comes from outside of you.
In ponovimo, vse, kar potrebujete, pride od zunaj.
If it stays close to you, you die.
Če ostane blizu vas, pa ne notri, umrete.
Only when it's brought into you
Šele ko vzamete vase,
can you live by it.
lahko od tega živite.
So we need oxygen,
Potrebujemo kisik,
therefore we breathe.
zato dihamo.
We need water,
Potrebujemo vodo,
therefore we
zato
drink.
pijemo.
We need food,
Potrebujemo hrano
therefore we
in
eat.
jemo.
We need love,
Potrebujemo ljubezen,
therefore we
zato kaj?
do what?
Kaj delamo, ker potrebujemo ljubezen? Wine. Maybe. Svinimo.
Yes. Yeah, ask. Okay.
Prosimo, ja.
Yeah. All right. All right. So let's say that you were having a bad day
Recimo, da imate slab dan.
and you come home
Pridete domov.
and you notice that there's mail. There's letters,
Vidite, pridete domov in zagledate sporočilo.
right? And you throw the bills aside
In, torej, dobili ste pošto in vržete stran račune.
and there's one letter that's handwritten.
In tam je eno pismo, ki je napisano z roko.
Like, oh.
Wow.
And you read the name.
Preberete ime.
Like, oh, that's a good name.
Dobro ime.
And you open the letter,
Odprete pismo.
and it's a beautiful card.
Krasna čestitka je ali pa voščilnica.
And they say, dear, and they have your name,
In pravi, dragi ti,
right? And I've been thinking about you,
mislil sem nate,
right? I can't get you off of my mind.
ne morem te iztisniti z misli.
I'm thinking about the last time that we spent together,
Premišljujem o tem, kar sva doživela skupaj zadnjič.
and I'm looking forward to when we can spend time together in the
In
future.
komaj čakam, da bova spet skupaj.
And it's got all sorts of really nice stuff in there.
In take stvari berete tam.
And it's signed love, and it has
In
their
potem
name.
piše z ljubeznijo in ime.
And there's a few hearts on it, you know,
In še nekaj narisanih src.
right? How do you feel?
Kako se počutite? If the name is good,
All right, yeah, the name is good, right? It's a good name.
to
It's
smo rekli, da
it's a
ja.
right person.
prava oseba je.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, we feel filled.
Yes. All right. Great. Yeah. So how did it happen?
Kako se je to zgodilo?
How much love is in the ink?
Koliko ljubezni je v črnilu?
How much love is in the paper?
Koliko ljubezni je v papirju?
How much love is in the glue?
Ali v lepilu?
Nothing. Can you find the love in there and concentrate it and put it into a syringe and then...
Ali najdete ta ljubezen, tako kot smo jo zdaj opisali, in jo ekstrahirate oziroma koncentrirate in vzamete v iglo in se ubrizgate? Ljubezen.
Can you do that?
Ali to lahko naredite?
No.
Ne, ne gre.
No. If I could,
Če bi bilo možno,
I would be the richest person in the
bi
world.
bil najbogatejši človek na svetu.
I mean, forget everything else. We could just have love drugs.
Vse bi lahko pozabili, imeli bi samo tableta za ljubezen.
And everybody would be in love and loving everyone.
In vsi bi bili zaljubljeni in bi imeli radi vse.
But no, it doesn't work that way.
Ampak tako ne gre.
So where's the love?
Kje je torej ljubezen?
What was that?
Love is in the air.
Yes.
We need to breathe.
We just need the fly swatter to catch it.
Je. Moramo samo nekako s tistim zalovljenjem muh priti do tega ujeti.
Yeah. All right. So what the letter contains
Vsebina pisma ali pa sporočila
is information.
je informacija.
Right? The letter contains information.
Torej, sporočilo je v informaciji.
Right.
Informacija v sporočilu.
And you have been taught
Naučili ste se,
this letter and that letter and that letter and that letter.
da ko nanizate prav te črke,
And you've been taught that when these letters go together,
ko te torej skupaj preberete,
it's this word,
to je ta beseda
and this word has this meaning,
in ima to in ta pomen,
and you put these words together,
in potem še dodaste ostale
and it has this
besede,
meaning.
in to je vse skupaj en pomen.
And so what you have done
In kaj ste naredili?
is you have examined the information,
Vi ste pogledali informacijo ali pa testirali,
you have interpreted the information.
ste raztolmačili to informacijo.
To you, the information means love,
To za vas pomeni ljubezen.
and you have believed it.
Vi ste to sprejeli z vero, verjeli ste te informacije.
Right? And when you believe it,
Ko verujete,
you bring it in.
jo vzamete vase.
Now, let's say you got the same letter.
Recimo, da ste dobili prav isto sporočilo,
It had a different name on it.
ampak na njem je drugo ime.
You didn't recognize the name.
Ne prepoznate imena.
And you open up the letter.
Odprete,
It says all of the nice same stuff.
iste stvari vam govori, kot je tisto prejšnje.
And at the bottom it's signed the used car salesman downtown.
In ti pravi, podpisan je tisti, ki prodaja rabljene avtomobile v mestu.
Come visit me and buy a car.
Pridite k meni in kupite avtomobil.
Right? Do you believe it?
Ali verjamete,
That they love you?
da vas ljubijo?
No.
Ne.
No. So you don't believe it, so you don't accept it.
Ne verjamete in zato ne sprejmete.
Right? So you need oxygen, you breathe.
Rabite kisik, dihate,
You need water, you drink.
potrebujete vodo in pijete.
You need food, you eat.
Hrano pojeste, ker jo potrebujete.
You need love,
Ljubezen potrebujete,
you think.
razmišljate.
It's actually a process of thinking,
Gre za proces premišljevanja.
right? It has to observe information.
Mišljenje mora absorbirati informacijo,
It needs to evaluate the information,
tudi vrednotiti je mora
and then it needs to believe the information.
in informaciji mora verjeti.
And if the information believes love, means love,
Če informacija prenaša ljubezen,
then you bring it in.
potem jo vzamete.
All right. Now, everything that functions is governed by law.
Vsako delovanje vodi zakon.
Think about gravity,
Naprimer, zakon težnosti
the laws of motion,
ali pa zakon gibanja,
right? The thermodynamics,
termodinamike.
right? Everything that functions is governed
Karkoli
by law.
funkcionira, ima funkcionira na podlagi zakona.
And all laws that govern function remain the same.
In vsi zakoni, ki vodijo delovanje, so vedno isti.
And proper function is maintained by remaining in harmony with the law.
In pravo delovanje je pravo zato, ker ostaja v sozvočju s zakonom.
And dysfunction is the result of disharmony with the law.
Napačno delovanje pravzaprav je razhajanje tega, kar se dogaja z zakonom.
Right? And when we speak of law, there's actually a single law that underlies every other law.
Ko že o zakonu govorimo, obstaja zakon, ki je v podlagi vsakega drugega zakona.
Right? And I call it the fundamental law.
Jaz temu rečem temeljni zakon.
And it has two parts to it.
In pride v dveh delih.
One is that everything, or I should say that nothing exists or functions from itself.
To lahko izrazimo tako, nič ne obstaja ali pa nič ne deluje samo po sebi.
And nothing exists or functions for itself.
In nič ne obstaja ali ne deluje zase.
If you go look anywhere in nature,
V naravi, kamorkoli pogledate,
everything has needs.
vse ima neke potrebe.
And everything must take in those needs.
In vse mora vzeti tisto, kar potrebuje.
Right, there has to be some material,
Torej, mora biti snovno, nekaj snovnega,
some resources,
nekaj virov,
power,
energija,
in order for it to exist and function.
da bi se zgodilo delovanje.
And it doesn't just keep it to itself,
In nič ne zadrži tisto, kar je dobil zase.
it passes it along,
Daje naprej.
and other things benefit from it.
In drugi imajo korist od tega.
Right, even a rock.
Celo skala.
I mean, you might think, oh, well, what does it do?
Kaj bomo uporabili to za ilustracijo?
But out in the desert, it does a lot.
Ampak v puščavi veliko tega naredi.
Right, during the day,
Po dnevi
it takes the heat from the sun,
sprejme toploto od sonca
and that poor lizard that would have been fried in the sunlight
in tisti martinček, ki bi se stvrl na soncu,
right? It survives underneath in the cool under the rock,
preživi v hladu pod skalo.
right? And during the day, the rock takes more and more of the heat.
Čez dan kamen sprejme toploto.
And then during the nighttime,
In potem po noči
it's giving off the heat.
oddaja to toploto.
And that lizard that would have frozen at night,
In, kako se reče, no? Kuščar, ki bi zmrznil po noči,
right? So it gets to stay cool during the day and warm during the night.
Torej, ker je, sorry, say it again.
The lizard gets to stay cool during the day.
Da. Torej, skala pomaga temu kuščarju, da po dnevi, da mu je hladneje,
Right, because the rock is taking
ker kamen sprejme
and
toploto
giving.
in daje potem po noči.
And so in a very simple way,
Na zelo preprost način.
that fundamental law says that everything takes in order to give.
Ta zakon pravi, da vse jemlje, da bi dalo.
Right? And from this we get the laws of thermodynamics,
Iz tega lahko deduciramo zakon termodinamike,
right, which tells us that all energy necessary for a system to function must come from outside of that
ki
system.
pravi, vsa energija nujna za delovanje nekega sistema mora priti izven tega sistema.
From this fundamental law comes the law of cause and effect,
Iz tega temeljnega zakona prihaja tudi vzrok in posledica, zakon vzroka in posledice,
where every effect must have a cause and every cause produces an effect.
ki pravi, vsaka posledica mora imeti vzrok in vsak vzrok mora izzvati posledico.
Right? If everything takes in order to give,
Če vse jemlje, da bi dalo,
then everything functions like a channel,
vse funkcionira kot kanal.
right? And cause is at the entrance of the channel,
In vzroki, ki so na vhodu v kanal,
and effect is at the exit of the canal.
in posledice so na izhodu.
What comes out of the canal
Tisto, kar pride iz kanala,
is an effect of what came into it,
je posledica tistega, kar je prišlo v kanal.
right? And I call this the law of life,
Temu jaz rečem zakon življenja.
right? And it's just everything functions like this.
Vse deluje prav tako.
And the more you think about it,
bolj ko o tem mislite,
the more you see it everywhere you go.
Več tega boste videli, kamorkoli greste.
Right? Now, since we function according to law,
Ker funkcioniramo po zakonih,
then if I have symptoms,
če imam torej bolezenske znake
and all I do is treat up here,
in tretiram samo tisto, kar smo pokazali, zaokrožili,
but I don't treat down here,
in nič ne delam v zemlji prsti,
and if I actually remove some of the bad fruit and bad leaves,
če nekaj listja, ki ni dobro, in sadež, ki niso dobri, odstranim,
but the cause remains,
ampak vzrok ostane,
watch out,
pazite se,
because other fruit and other leaves are going to go bad.
ker bodo tudi drugi listi in drugi sadeži slabi.
And also, if I have symptoms,
Če imam torej bolezenske znake
and I only treat the symptoms with medications or herbs or things like that,
in zdravili, bodi si takimi ali drugačnimi, tretiram simptome,
but I don't get to the real cause,
ampak se ne dotaknem pravega vzroka.
watch out.
Pazite se,
Something else will come up,
nekaj drugega bo prišlo kot bolezen.
right? By law.
Po zakonu.
Because the cause must show itself in the effect.
Ker se bo vedno posledica bo pokazala, kaj je vzrok.
Right. And you and I know that medications have side effects.
Vi veste, in jaz tudi vem, da zdravila imajo stranske učinke.
Right? Any treatment that does not remove the cause
Vsaka terapija, ki ne umakne vzroka,
must produce side effects.
mora povzročiti stranske učinke.
Right? It must.
Mora.
Because the cause must reveal its presence.
Ker se vzrok pokaže. Se mora pokazati.
Right. All right. So, here's a road.
Tukaj je cesta.
And on the road is health.
Na cesti je zdravje.
And there's proper function.
In pravilno delovanje je tukaj.
And it's comfortable.
In to je udobno.
Right? It's nice being there. And so I need oxygen, I need water,
Potrebujem kisik in vodo in hrano.
I need food, I need warmth.
Potrebujem toploto tudi.
Right? These are various different things that I need in order to remain healthy.
Da bi bil zdrav, moram na različne stvari uporabljati.
If I get off of the road,
Če grem s ceste dol,
then there's dysfunction
tam je disfunkcija.
and it's uncomfortable.
To pomeni nelagodje.
Right? And what is it that tells me whether I'm on the road or off the road?
Kaj mi pove, ali sem na cesti ali sem šel dol?
Well, the edge of the road is defined by law.
Zakon določa konec ceste.
Right? So there is a law that governs how much salt you need in your blood.
Obstaja zakon, ki pove, koliko soli potrebuješ v krvi.
And if it goes too high,
Če je to preveč,
well,
če je soli preveč,
it starts to dysfunction
se zgodi slabo delovanje
and it doesn't feel so well.
in se ne počutite v tem dobro.
And if the level goes too low,
Če je premalo soli,
right, you're going to have the same problem.
imate iste težave.
But nobody goes around thinking, I wonder what my salt level is.
Ampak nihče ne gre po svetu in misli, res, koliko soli imam v sebi.
Right? And nobody goes around worrying about that.
Nikogar to ne skrbi.
But what we do worry about is how we feel.
Skrbimo za to, kako se počutimo.
As long as I feel good, I'm fine.
Če se počutim dobro, je vse v redu.
But when I start not feeling good,
Če se začnem ne počutiti dobro,
that's a problem.
to vidimo kot težavo.
Well, let's take heat or warmth as our example.
Vzemimo za primer toploto.
If my temperature gets above the level of the law,
Če je toplota večja kot pravi zakon, da mora biti,
how do I feel?
kako se počutim?
You feel bad.
Slabo?
You feel
Hot.
hot. Right?
Da, vroče vam je.
Right? You feel hot. Now, is hot comfortable or uncomfortable?
Ali vam je prijetno, ko vam je vroče?
It's uncomfortable. Right?
Neprijetno je.
And if you're too hot,
Če vam je prevroče, torej,
well, then now you're going to
boste povzročali veter, ali
right? You're going to try to cool yourself down.
nekako se boste poskušali ohladiti.
And once you get back in the law,
Ko ste zdaj znotraj zakona,
oh, you're good. You feel good.
se dobro počutite
You're fine.
in mislite, da je vse v redu.
But if the temperature goes down too far,
Če se toplota spusti
well,
preveč,
now you have symptoms again,
spet imate bolezenske znake.
but this time you feel cold.
Ampak se tukaj počutite, vas zebe
You know, and now you're going to shiver
in boste drgetali
and you're going to cover yourself
in se
up,
boste pokrili,
you know,
oblekli,
so that your temperature can come up.
da bi se zvišala temperatura.
And you care less about the law,
Vas ne zanima zakon,
but very interestingly, the law and your feelings are tied together.
ampak vaši občutki in zakon so povezani.
Because once you go outside of the law, the feelings are starting to not feel so good.
Če zapuščate področje zakona, predpisano zakonom, vaši občutki so slabši.
Now, I haven't paid that much attention here,
Tukaj se nisem toliko usmeril, ali pa pozornost usmeril na,
do you have on the side of the road, when you start going out of the lane, it goes,
ali imate, seveda imamo na avtocestah tisto, temu se reče zvočna signalizacija ali pa ropotno znamenje, nekaj takega. Smešno mi je bilo.
yeah, so it's something where you get over there and it's like, or,
Zvok vas spominja, da ste na črti.
and in English we call them rumble strips,
Da, to so ta zvočna znamenja.
right? So rumble strips, you don't like driving on them.
Ne marate voziti po teh črtah,
They're annoying,
nervirajo vas.
but they're there to keep you alive,
Ampak rešujejo vaše življenje.
right? And I'm alive today because of rumble strips.
Jaz sem danes živ zaradi teh črt, ki so ob cesti.
Because when I was doing trauma surgery,
Ko sem nekoč bil v traumatologiji,
we might be up for 36 hours or longer,
lahko je operacija trajala ali pa dežurstvo trajalo 36 ur in več,
right? Sometimes 48 hours,
48,
and you're tired.
in ste mrtvi, utrujeni ste.
And I was driving home from the hospital,
In sem se vozil domov iz bolnice
and I woke up 2 lanes later,
in sem se zbudil dva trakova proč
on the rumble strips.
na tem zvočnem signalizaciji.
And I was coming to an overpass
In sem prihajal, približeval sem se nadvozu
with those big concrete pylons.
in tam so betonski stebri.
So I'm very glad for rumble strips.
Jaz sem zelo vesel, da obstaja zvočna signalizacija na cesti.
So symptoms are like the rumble strips.
Simptomi so kakor te črte na cesti.
They tell you something's wrong,
Povedo vam, da je nekaj narobe.
right? Now, if you don't stop at symptoms,
Ampak, če se ne ustavite, ko vas opozarjajo simptomi,
you get to disease.
dobite bolezen.
And now it's even worse.
In zdaj je še slabše.
And you feel worse
In se počutite slabše.
so that you're more motivated to do something about it
In zato ste bolj motivirani, da bi kaj storili.
in order to get back into comfort.
Da bi ponovno prišli na področje ugodja.
And in the opposite direction, you can have the same problem.
Na drugi strani, na levi strani je isto.
And it feels really bad
In se res slabo počutite
because you really need to do something about it right now.
in morate nekaj storiti prav zdaj.
Now, let me ask you,
Naj vas vprašam.
between men and women,
Med moškim in žensko.
who's going to go farther before they ask for help?
Kdo bo pozneje iskal pomoč? Moški ali ženska?
Okay, so it's not just the United States.
To
Okay.
ni samo v Ameriki.
Yeah. Yeah. And men, okay, I'll see the doctor.
Ljudje, možje pridejo, moški, pridejo skoraj do črte, kjer je smrt. Takrat morda poiščejo pomoč.
Right. And the ladies are like, oh no, something's wrong. I need to go now.
Ženske so bolj tako, nekaj narobe, boljše, da grem zdravniku.
Maybe that's why women live longer than men do.
Morda zato ženske živijo statistično dlje kot moški.
Because the average lifespan of a woman is longer than a man.
Ker povprečna starost ženske v trenutku smrti je višja.
Right? So, once you get outside of the law,
Ko zapustite področje zakona,
it starts feeling bad.
se začnete slabo počutiti
Dysfunction gets worse.
in potem je disfunkcija slabša in slabša.
You eventually has disease.
Na koncu zbolite,
And if you don't stop,
če se ne ustavite,
you eventually die.
umrete. Na
Right?
koncu.
Not good.
To ni dobro.
Right? You don't want to go there.
Tam ne bi želeli biti.
Now we need oxygen.
Potrebujete kisik,
We need water.
vodo,
We need food.
hrano
We need
in
warmth.
toploto.
Anybody need love?
Ali kdo potrebuje ljubezen?
Yeah, everybody does. All right. So, is it possible
Ali je možno,
that there is a law that governs the function of love,
ki določa funkcioniranje ljubezni?
and that if you get outside of that law,
In če zapustite področje, ki ga pokriva ta zakon,
even though oxygen, water, food, and warmth might be going okay,
čeprav imate dovolj zraka, vode, hrane in toplote,
you still end up with symptoms.
vendar dobite simptome
You can develop disease,
in razvije se bolezen
and you can even die.
in celo umrete.
Ja.
Res.
Yeah, because of a lack of.
Zaradi pomanjkanja ljubezni.
Outside of the law that governs it.
Zunaj zakona, ki določa to.
Right? It took me a while to figure this out,
Potreboval sem dosti časa, da to ugotovim.
but the more time that I could spend with my patients,
Koliko več časa sem prebil ob pacientih,
the more questions that I could ask them,
sem jim lahko zastavil več vprašanj
the more that I could learn about their life,
in ko sem več zvedel o njihovem življenju,
the more I was convinced
sem bil bolj in bolj prepričan,
that this was a huge issue.
da je to velika potreba. Oziroma vprašanje,
Huge issue. Right?
veliko vprašanje.
So, health is proper function,
Zdravje pomeni pravilno delovanje.
which is the effect of being within the law,
To je posledica življenja znotraj zakona.
disease is dysfunction, which is the effect of being outside of the law,
Bolezen je pomanjkljivo delovanje, ki je posledica prestopanja zakona.
and symptoms and disease
Bolezen in njeni znaki
are good.
so dobri.
I'm not saying it's good to have it,
Ni dobro, da jih imate,
but their function is a good function,
ampak njihovo delovanje je pozitivno.
right? Their function is like the fire alarm and the rumble strips.
To je kot požarni alarm in tudi te ropotni trak, se reče.
It's there to let you know something's wrong,
Ti dajo vedeti, da je nekaj narobe.
right? So, there is a law of cause and effect,
Obstaja zakon vzroka in posledice.
and in that law we recognize that every effect has a cause,
Ta zakon, zaradi tega zakona ugotavljamo, da vsak vzrok ima posledico.
every cause produces an effect,
Vsak vzrok povzroči posledice.
right? If the effect is present, you know the cause is still present,
Če imate neko posledico, veste, da obstaja tudi vzrok.
because if you take the cause away,
Ker če umaknete vzrok,
then the effect is going to go away,
bo izginila posledica.
because no effect produces itself,
Noben vzrok ne proizvaja sebe samega.
right? It's dependent upon power or materials outside of itself,
Odvisen je od snovi in moči, ki so zunaj njega.
right? If you have a water hose,
Če imate cev za vodo, ja, hvala.
right? If you have a water hose and dirty water is coming out of the end of the hose,
In če iz nje prihaja umazana voda,
why?
zakaj se to dogaja?
Why is it dirty?
Zakaj je voda umazana? There must be pollutant.
Yeah.
Nekje mora biti nekaj, kar povzroča to.
Yeah, there's got to be dirty water coming into the hose,
Verjetno v cev prihaja umazana voda.
right? So what comes out is a sign of what's going in.
Tisto, kar izhaja iz cevi, dokazuje, da to prihaja noter.
The effect is there to show the cause.
Posledica pokaže, kaj je vzrok.
Right? And you will never find an effect without a cause.
Nikoli ne boste našli posledice brez vzroka.
Right? No effects without causes.
Ni tega.
Let me say that again.
Še enkrat bom povedal.
There is never an effect without a cause.
Nikoli ne dobite posledice brez vzroka.
And that means
To pomeni,
there is no such thing as chance.
da ni naključja.
Right? No such thing as chance.
Sploh nobenega naključja ni.
Right? Random does not exist.
Nič ni kar tako.
Random is simply our inability to predict the outcome.
Mi ne moremo samo predvideti izida.
But there's always a cause.
Vedno pa je vzrok.
Right? It's always a cause. So, let me put it this way. We will never understand how something functions
Nikoli ne bomo ugotovili, kako kaj deluje,
if we believe that the cause is the effect
če menimo, da je vzrok posledica,
and we believe that the effect is the cause.
ali pa narobe, da je posledica vzrok.
Right? So here you have a situation where cars are driving off the edge of the cliff.
Tukaj imamo situacijo, v kateri avto gre torej z ceste dol v prepad.
Right? And people are injured down in the bottom.
In tukaj so ljudje, ki so utrpeli.
And so the solution is to send an ambulance down to the bottom to get the injured people and take them to the hospital.
In zato je rešitev, da pride vozilo in ljudi vzame v bolnico.
Right? That's what happens
To se dogaja,
when you mix up cause and effect.
ko zamešate vzrok in posledico.
Right? If you knew the cause was up here,
Če ugotovite, da je vzrok gor,
then you'd put a speed limit.
potem boste upočasnili promet,
You would put warning signs.
torej znamenja bodo kazala, da se
You'd
to
put a
dogaja.
rail along the edge of
In
the
potem boste imeli
canyon.
ograjo tukaj.
Right? You do things to prevent this from happening.
Poskušali boste preprečiti to, kar se dogaja.
So we will always try to correct problems the wrong way
Vedno bomo poskušali težave reševati na napačen način,
if we mix up cause and effect.
če zamešamo vzroke in posledice.
Right? So we will never fix the problem.
Nikoli ne bomo rešili težave,
We will never find the cure.
niti našli zdravila.
And so it's really important for us to understand cause and effect.
Zato je zelo pomembno, da razumemo vzrok in posledico.
Because if we get it backwards,
Če imamo to narobe,
welcome to our world.
potem ste dobrodošli v našem svetu.
Right. So, in order to get to the cause,
Da bi prišli do vzroka,
I need to get to the first domino.
moramo vedeti, kaj je prva ploščica.
Or what happened to the first domino.
Ali kaj se je zgodilo s prvo ploščico.
Every other domino is an effect.
Vse drugo je posledica.
So my question is, what's the cause of that?
Torej, če sprašujem, kaj je vzrok tega
And then what was the cause of that?
in kaj je vzrok tega naslednjega
And what was the cause of that?
in kaj je drugo povzročilo tretjemu,
Until I get to something that has no cause.
dokler ne pridem do nečesa, kar nima vzroka.
Now I found it.
Zdaj sem našel.
Right? So here's a cell.
To je celica. Telesna celica.
You have about 200 trillion cells in your body.
Mi imamo milijardo, pa potem bilijarda. Da, milijardo je.
Right? And yes.
Imamo jih toliko, 300, 200
Yeah, 9 zeros.
milijard. Ja,
And you
to
have
so milijarde potem.
Ja,
A ja, biljon je rekel. 3 triljon je več kot to.
yeah. Hang on.
Yes.
3 million, trillion,
Million, billion.
12 zeros.
12.
Yeah. Anyway, so, and then you have about 250 different types of cell in the body.
Imamo pa 250 različnih vrst celic v telesu.
And every cell functions kind of like a factory.
In vsaka deluje kot tovarna.
And of course, factories produce products.
In tovarne proizvajajo nekaj.
And the function of your cells
Delovanje celice v telesu
determine the function of your body.
določa delovanje telesa.
And if you lose a particular type of cell,
Če nimate več, izgubite neko določeno celico, vrsto,
then you lose any functions that are specific to that type of cell.
boste izgubili funkcijo, delovanje, ki ga povzroča ta celica.
For example, somebody with type 1 diabetes,
Nekdo, ki ima sladkorno bolezen tip 1,
it's an autoimmune condition.
to je avtoimuna bolezen.
The immune system attacks a particular type of cell in the pancreas.
Imunski sistem napada neko celico v trebušni slivovki.
Right, and those types of cells are the only cells that produce insulin.
In to so edine celice, ki proizvajajo inzulin.
So when you have no more of those cells,
Če nimate več teh celic,
you have no more insulin,
nimate več inzulina,
and you need insulin to survive,
potrebujete ga, da bi preživeli,
and without it you die.
ker drugače umrete.
Thankfully,
Na srečo
there's insulin that you can take.
obstaja inzulin, ki ga lahko vbrizgate.
It doesn't work as well as the insulin that you can produce,
Nima tako dobro delovanje, kakor tisti, ki ga proizvedejo vaše celice,
but regardless, people can live for decades on external insulin,
pa vendar s takšnim zunanjim inzulinom ljudje živijo še desetletja.
and that's a blessing,
In to je blagoslov.
right? But it just highlights that if you lose a type of cell,
Poudarja samo to, da če izgubimo neko vrsto celice,
you're going to lose that function throughout the entire body.
bomo izgubili tudi funkcijo, ki ga ta celica upravlja.
Now, when a cause begins,
Ko vzrok se začne,
it will immediately begin to produce an effect.
takoj bo začel proizvajati posledico.
But it may take time for the effect to get big enough in order for you to notice it,
Ampak morda bo potreben čas, da bo dovolj veliko, da boste opazili.
right? So let's say that you had 20 billion of those insulin-producing cells.
Recimo, da imate 20 milijard pankreatskih teh celic beta.
Right? And now you have a process that starts killing off 100 of them every second.
In 100 izgubite zaradi nekega vzroka vsako sekundo.
So it kills 100, 200, 300, 400,
In izgubite po 100 vsako sekundo.
right? Well, in a minute you would kill off 6,000,
8000 jih boste izgubili v minuti.
in an hour 360,000 cells,
V enem uri 360 000
in a day 8.6 million cells,
in 8,6 milijonov na dan.
and in a year
V enem letu
3.2 billion cells,
3,2 milijard celic.
right? And so at that rate,
V tem tempu
it would take you 3 years and 2 months to kill off half of the cells.
boste v 3 letih in 2 mesecih izgubili pol celic.
And usually you don't start manifesting dysfunction until you lose at least half of a cell's population.
Navadno ne opazite, da se kaj dogaja v telesu, dokler ne izgubite polovico populacije teh celic.
So it might take you 3 years to figure out you have a problem.
Morda boste potrebovali 3 leta in 2 meseca, da bi sploh ugotovili, da imate težavo.
But the entire time,
Pa ves čas
the cause was producing the effect.
je vzrok imel izzival posledico.
Now, some disease processes are much faster,
Nekateri procesi so mnogo hitrejši,
and some are very slow.
nekateri pa so zelo počasni.
Some of them it takes seconds, minutes, or hours between the cause being in place and the effect manifesting.
Nekateri imajo samo sekunde ali minute ali ure, da se pokažejo posledice.
And some of them it takes years or decades.
Nekateri pa potrebujejo leta ali desetletja.
But it must be true
Mora biti res,
that the cause is in place before you first notice the effect.
da najprej pride vzrok, potem pa posledica.
So when I'm talking to somebody about their health condition,
Ko ugotovim, da nekdo ima zdravstveno težavo,
I always want to know when was your first symptom,
vedno me zanima, kdaj je bil vaš prvi bolezenski znak.
because I know the cause had to be before that time.
Ker vem, da je vzrok bil že prej.
Right? I don't know how much before,
Ne vem, koliko prej,
but I know that it has to be before.
ampak vem, da je bil prej.
Right? And if the effect is still present,
če je posledica še tu,
then the cause is still present,
je tudi vzrok.
right? So if the blood pressure is still high,
Če je naša torej krvni pritisk previsok,
then the cause for the high blood pressure is still there.
obstaja vzrok za to.
If the cancer is still growing,
Če rak napreduje,
then the cause for the cancer is still there,
obstaja vzrok za to.
right? And I know that if the cause is removed,
Vem, da če se umakne vzrok,
then the blood pressure will come back to normal
da bo krvni pritisk se zmanjšal
and the cancer will stop progressing as long as you haven't gotten too far.
in se bo tudi ustavilo napredovanje raka, razen če ste šli predaleč.
You can get to a point where you've gone too far
Lahko se zgodi, da ste šli čez črto
and you're not getting back,
in potem se ne vrača več.
right? So every function in nature needs at least two things.
Vsako delovanje v naravi potrebuje najmanj dvoje.
It needs something to generate the function or enable the function,
Nekaj, kar omogoča delovanje.
and living systems always have electricity.
Živa bitja vedno imajo elektriko.
And then it needs something to sustain the function.
In obstaja nekaj, kar povzroča, vzdržuje
So there has to be some kind of fuel,
podaljševanje delovanja in to je gorivo.
right? So there has to be something to ignite it and get it going.
Nekaj mora biti kot vžig in požene stvari,
And something to continue the function.
nekaj pa podaljšuje.
And so the fuel and the spark every cell needs.
Torej, vsaka celica potrebuje tako gorivo kot iskro.
And according to the fundamental law,
In po temeljnem zakonu
every cell themselves must take.
tudi vsaka celica mora vzeti.
But nothing only takes.
Ampak nič ne jemlje,
What
samo
else,
del jemlje.
what else does it do?
Kaj mora narediti še?
Oh yeah, it's going to give, right?
In bo dala.
So it's going to take,
Vzela bo,
but then it's going to give something from that.
ampak iz tega se bo zgodil proizvod.
And
Nekaj bo dala.
every cell produces some product.
In vsaka celica nekaj proizvaja.
And other cells benefit from the products that it makes.
Drugim celicam je ta proizvod koristen.
And the fuel for the cells,
Gorivo za celico pa je
that's your oxygen,
kisik,
your water,
voda,
your nutrients.
hranila,
It's chemicals,
kemikalije.
right? The fuel for the cells are chemicals.
Gorivo je kemično.
And every chemical must come into the body through a certain organ or organ system.
Vsako gorivo mora priti po nekem sistemu telesnem.
Right? And then it needs to get to all of the parts of the body.
In mora se porazporediti na vse dele telesa.
So if the oxygen comes into your lungs,
Če kisik prihaja v vaša pljuča,
how does it get to your toes?
kako pride do nožnih prstov? Blood vessels,
Yeah, it's the blood,
po krvi.
right? The blood is like the moving truck,
Kri je kot kamion,
right?
ki se giblje.
And it's what carries the fuel to all of the different parts of the body.
In vsakemu delu telesa nese gorivo.
Now, what happens if the blood gets stuck?
Kaj se zgodi, ko se kri ustavi?
Good or not good?
A je to dobro ali slabo?
Yeah, not good, right?
Ni dobro.
Because now you're going to block off your supply of fuel,
Zato, ker boste tako preprečili gorivu, da gre naprej.
and guess what?
In uganite, kaj se bo zgodilo.
Your cells cannot stop giving.
Vaše celice ne morejo nehati dajati.
They can't stop giving.
Ne morejo.
They will continue to give and give and give.
Bodo dajale še naprej.
And if they run out, they will give until they die.
In
If they run out of fuel,
da, če ne bodo več imele goriva, bodo dajale doklerkoli gre.
right? Whether that's your heart, whether
Če gre za
that's
srce
your brain,
ali možgani,
your kidneys,
ledvica,
wherever it is,
karkoli.
right? So the blood is really important,
Kri je zelo pomembna.
right? And every chemical that the cell needs,
Vsaka kemikalija, ki jo telo potrebuje,
it needs it in a good concentration.
Morajo imeti v dobri koncentraciji.
If it's too little
Če je premalo
or it's too much,
ali preveč,
there's going to be a problem,
bo do težave.
right? And every cell
Vsaka celica
functions also with electricity.
deluje tudi z uporabo elektricitete.
There's a difference in electrical potential between the inside and the outside of every cell.
Razlika je v naboju notri in zunaj.
And so the cells function with chemicals
Celice torej delujejo s kemikalijami
and the cells function with electricity.
in tudi z elektriko.
And what is it that controls the function of the cells?
Kaj kontrolira delovanje celic? Živci,
Yeah, it's the nervous system, right?
živčni sistem.
Right? Through the nerves,
S pomočjo živcev
it's going to control the different functions of the body,
bodo nadzorovali različne funkcije v telesu.
right? And there's a production of electrical energy in the cortex of the brain,
V korteksu možganov se proizvaja elektrika.
and that electrical impulse is sent down the nerves.
Impulze potem pošiljajo po živcih
It produces chemicals.
in to povzroča, proizvaja kemikalije.
The cells take in those chemicals.
Celica jemlje te kemikalije
They change how they function,
in spreminja njihovo funkcijo.
and they either
To spreminja njeno funkcijo
either increase or decrease their production.
in zato se proizvaja ta proizvod, ki je končni, ali pa zmanjšuje ali pa povečuje.
Right? And so it's the mind that controls the body.
Torej telo kontrolira
And so you have that electrical impulse from the brain
Torej imate impulze v možganih,
to the center part of the brain,
gre to v središče možganov
and then it crosses and goes down the spinal cord,
in se gre na drugo stran in po hrbtenjači gre navzdol.
right? And then to the different parts of the body
In konča v različnih delih telesa,
to control their function.
da bi kontroliralo funkcioniranje.
And then there's information that's sent back from those parts of the body
In deli telesa pošiljajo informacijo nazaj,
so that you can get feedback on what's going on in the body,
da bi možgani vedeli, kaj se dogaja po telesu.
right? And we can ask ourselves the question,
Lahko si zastavimo vprašanje,
where does the electrical activity of the brain come from?
od kod je elektrika v možganih?
Because according to the laws of thermodynamics,
Po zakonu termodinamike,
all energy necessary for a system to function
vsa energija, ki jo sistem potrebuje za delovanje,
must come from outside of that system,
mora priti od zunaj.
right? And a lot of people answer, well, it's the nutrients or the sugar.
Mnogi ljudje rečejo, ja, sladkor ali pa druga hranila.
No, that's the fuel.
Ne, to je gorivo.
Where does the spark come from?
Od kod je iskra?
Well, I'll leave you scratching your brain on that one for a little while.
Jaz bom pustil, da se malo praskate, da se sprašujete, kaj bo.
Well, we'll answer it, but we'll get to it.
Odgovorili bomo, ja.
So, where can error or dysfunction be introduced into this system?
Kako se lahko napaka ali slabo delovanje uvede v sistem?
You see, every physical process
Vsak telesni proces
functions according to the laws that govern that process.
deluje po zakonu, ki upravlja.
And those laws don't change.
Ti zakoni so nespremenljivi.
And if every step of function, or if every step of the process functions by law,
Če vse funkcionira, vsak korak po zakonu,
where can error or dysfunction get introduced into the system?
od kod je napaka v sistemu?
Well, one of the things that we think of is inheritance,
Lahko se spomnimo na Česa, to je dednost.
right? So here there was a problem that happened in a prior generation.
Okvara se je zgodila v prejšnjih rodovih.
It affected the genetic material,
Posledica je sprememba genskega materiala,
which is the blueprint
To pa je načrt,
that the cells use
ki ga uporabljajo celice,
in order to build their components
da bi proizvajale svoje komponente
and produce their products.
in proizvode.
And so you have sections of that genetic material called genes,
Imamo dele tega genskega materijala, to so geni,
and those genes are the information needed to make proteins.
oni pa pravzaprav te informacije celica potrebuje, da bi izdelovala beljakovine.
And those proteins are a major portion of the structure and therefore the function of the cells.
To je glavni proizvod in zato je celica narejena tako.
Now, that dysfunction is passed to you when you're one cell.
To disfunkcijo, nepravilno delovanje ste dobili, ko ste bili samo ena celica.
And from that one cell, you get 2 cells,
Iz tega so nastale 2
and then 4 cells,
in potem 4
and so on.
in tako naprej.
And all of your cells come from that one cell.
In vse vaše celice so pravzaprav po poreklu iz te prve.
So how many cells have the broken blueprint?
Koliko celic torej ima napačen načrt?
All of them. All of them.
Vse.
Right? They all have the broken blueprint.
Vse imajo napačen načrt.
But
Pokvarjen.
only certain cells use certain genes.
Ampak nekatere celice uporabljajo različne gene.
Right? If every cell used every gene,
Če bi vse uporabljale vse gene,
then they would all be the same type of cell.
bi vse celice bile enake.
But we have 250 different types of cells.
Ampak poznamo 250 različnih tipov.
So one type of cell uses part of the blueprint,
Neka vrsta celice uporablja en del teh.
another type of cell uses another part of the blueprint,
Druga celica uporablja drugi del načrta.
and so on.
In tako naprej.
But it must be true
Mora pa biti res,
that if the cause is inheritance,
če je vzrok dednost,
then you will find the problem in every cell of the same type.
da boste imeli težavo v vsaki celici tega tipa.
Because every cell of the same type uses the same part of the blueprint.
Ker vse celice takšnega tipa uporabljajo ta del načrta.
So the problem will not be localized to a few cells amongst other of the same type of cells that are normal.
Ne boste imeli samo lokalno v nekaterih celicah tega tipa, ampak univerzalno.
Right? And when there is a breaking of the code,
Ko se kod spremeni oziroma uniči,
it introduces dysfunction into the system.
v sistem pride disfunkcija, slabo delovanje.
And I mean, this has been studied over and over again.
To so ugotovili vedno znova.
And one of the laws of thermodynamics is entropy.
En zakon, del zakona termodinamike, entropija,
Right? And everything goes towards greater chaos.
in vse gre v večji in večji kaos.
Right? And defects in the DNA lead to less and less function over time.
Napake v genskem sistemu povzročajo slabšo in slabšo funkcijo.
So if somebody develops cancer,
Če torej nekdo razvije raka v telesu
and the cancer begins in one part of the colon,
in se začne v enem delu črevesja
and then it starts growing from there,
in raste iz tega,
that's not inheritance.
to ni dednost.
Right? It's not inheritance.
Ne govorimo kot vzroku. Ne?
Now,
O dednosti.
that does not mean that the DNA is not involved.
To ne pomeni, da dezoksiribonska kislina ni,
That does not mean that DNA is not
da
involved.
se, torej, da ni vključena. Ja.
Right?
Hvala.
If it's inheritance,
Če gre za dednost kot vzrok,
then everywhere you have that type of cell, you're going to see the problem.
boste v vseh celicah istega tipa imeli isti problem.
So you would see it throughout the colon.
Torej, vse črevesne celice bodo imele isto stvar.
If you have arthritis that develops in a few joints,
Če imate artritis samo v nekaterih sklepih,
but it's not all of the joints,
a ne vseh,
It's not inheritance,
Ne gre za dednost.
right? So these are things to keep in mind.
To imejte v mislih.
Now we think of chemicals.
Ko mislimo o kemikalijah,
You have poisons, venoms.
strupe, zastrupitve,
You can have too much or too little of the things that you need.
imate preveč ali premalo tega, kar potrebujete.
Now, chemicals never create a new process.
Kemikalije nikoli ne povzroča, niso vzrok za novi proces.
Chemicals are used as a part of a process,
So del procesa,
but they don't create a new process.
ampak ne ustvarjajo novega procesa.
So here we have a problem in the person's left great toe.
Tukaj imamo nekoga s težavo v levem nožnem palcu.
Anybody know what this is?
Ali veste, kaj je to? Putika, ja.
Yeah. So gout,
Yes.
right? So it's gouty arthritis,
To je artritis take vrste.
very painful.
Zelo boli.
And what is inside the joint?
Kaj je tukaj? Sečna kislina.
Okay, so it's crystals.
Oh,
Uric acid crystals, right?
Kako sem rekel? Vem. Te kisline, ja.
Right. So very painful.
Zelo velike bolečine povzroča.
In this case, he has it in his left great toe.
V tem primeru je na levi strani. Na levi,
Some people have it in their right toe.
Nekateri na desni.
Some people have it in both toes.
Nekateri imajo na obeh.
Very painful.
Zelo boleče.
All right, what about here?
Kaj pa to?
What's in here?
Kaj je tukaj? Da.
All right.
Cholesterol.
Cholesterol, yes, okay. All right. So when it comes to gout,
Ko gre za putiko,
what I would do as a doctor
jaz bi kot zdravnik
is I'd give you medication for inflammation,
dal zdravila proti vnetju
and I would give you medication to cause your kidneys to dump more uric acid into the urine.
in dal bi takšna zdravila, ki pomaga ledvicam, da izloča kislino, ne da jo obdrži.
Right? And so now when your uric acid levels get low enough,
Torej, ko je sečne kisline manj v telesu,
Then the
obkrvljeno to,
gout goes away.
putika izginja.
Right? And here,
Tukaj,
well, you say, okay, well, there's cholesterol in there.
tu je holesterol.
So let's put you on anti-cholesterol medication.
Dajmo mu temu bolniku zdravila proti holesterolu.
And if we can get it low enough,
Če ga dovolj zmanjšamo,
then maybe that can start going away
morda bo tudi to šlo
and you can be better.
in bo vam boljše.
Right? And here you have somebody that has breast cancer in the left breast.
Tu imate nekoga z rakom na dojki, ja, na levi strani.
Right? And you might say, okay, well, maybe they've been eating a lot of processed red meats.
Morda boste rekli, morda je ta človek jedel preveč procesiranega rdečega mesa. Ja, jaz tudi.
Because we know
Ker vemo,
that processed red meats
da je rafinirano
Are
rdeče meso
are as strongly associated with cancer
tako močno povezano z rakom,
as smoking
kakor kajenje
and asbestos.
in azbest.
Right? So, all right, if that's the case, then we should tell them, all right, we need to stop eating the processed red meats.
Če je to tako, če je temu tako, potem moramo povedati bolniku, da neha jesti rdeče meso,
And if I'm honest,
procesirano.
I'd be telling you,
In če sem iskren, bi jaz povedal,
I really want you to stop eating any animal products
rad bi, da nehate uživati katerikoli živalski proizvod v hrani.
because the research is clear, it contributes to cancer and other inflammatory conditions.
Ker so raziskave pokazale, da tudi to povzroča raka in druga vnetja.
So with our medications for the gout
Če imamo zdravilo za putiko
and our cholesterol medication
in za holesterol, zvišanje,
and our change of diet
in tudi,
and our change of diet.
I don't know this, but
Right.
what was the beginning.
So with our medications
Če z zdravili proti putiki in
and
temu
with our
raku
change of diet we fix the problem, right?
Torej, na ta način, da zamenjamo tisto, kar jemo, imamo rešitev.
Okay, you ever seen this experiment in chemistry class?
Ali ste videli to pri kemiji, ta eksperiment?
Right. What happens to the dye?
Kaj se zgodi v barvi? Diffusion.
Yeah, diffusion. It mixes throughout all the liquid environment.
Kjerkoli v tekočini se razporedi enako.
Guess what your blood is?
Uganite, kaj je vaša kri?
It's liquid.
Tekočina.
It's got lots of water.
Veliko vode.
And when you eat something,
Ko nekaj pojeste,
you breathe something,
dihate
and you
nekaj
drink something,
in pijete
and you absorb something,
in nekaj se absorbira vaša koža,
it gets into the blood
pride v krvni obtok
all over the place.
in je povsod.
And it's mixing and it's going all around.
In se meša in povsod gre.
So how much of that uric acid went to the left foot compared to the right foot?
Torej, koliko je sečne kisline dobila levo stopalo ali koliko pa desno?
It's the same,
Isto količino.
right? It's not like the uric acid goes, hey guys, we're going to have a party in the left great toe,
Ne reče sečna kislina, imeli bomo parti na levi strani.
right? No, chemicals don't have that capacity.
Kemikalije tega niso zmožne.
They can be concentrated by some external force,
Lahko vplivamo od zunaj, da so koncentrirane ponekod različno,
but they cannot concentrate themselves.
ampak se ne morejo koncentrirati same.
So why there,
Zakaj potem tam?
right? The chemicals don't answer the question.
Kemikalije ne morejo odgovoriti.
Yes,
A tam
they're
so-
there,
Tam so,
but the question is why there?
ampak je vprašanje, zakaj tam?
So how much cholesterol, what was the concentration of cholesterol in the blood here versus here versus here?
Kakšna koncentracija holesterola je na sredini ali pa na desni ali pa na levi?
That's the same.
Ista.
But the problem's right here.
Ampak težava je tu.
Yeah, there's cholesterol,
Da, holesterol je tu.
but why is it there?
Ampak zakaj tu ravno?
Right? If it was just a problem of cholesterol,
Če bi šlo samo za holesterol kot vzrok,
it should look like this,
bi moralo biti tako.
right? That is a natural accumulation,
To je naravna koncentracija, akumulacija, ja.
yeah, of a super concentrated product in a liquid environment.
Koncentracija v tekočini.
Right? That's what it would look like. But this is what it looks like.
Bilo bi tako, ampak ni tako, ampak vidimo tako.
So if you go walking down the beach,
Kad greste na plažo in hodite,
you got one close,
imate eno blizu.
right? You go walking down the beach
Greste na plažo torej
and you see that,
in vidite to.
what do you conclude?
Kaj sklenete? Somebody had a nice time.
Is anybody thinking, wow, look what the sand did?
Ali kdo reče, poglejte, kaj je pesek naredil?
No, no.
Nihče.
You know somebody did that.
Vi veste, da je to nekdo zgradil.
Now, can you make a sandcastle without sand?
Ali lahko naredite grad iz peska brez peska?
No. You got to have the sand to make the sandcastle,
Morate imeti pesek, da bi naredili peščeni grad.
but it's not the sand that makes the sandcastle.
Ampak pesek ni naredil grada.
Now, if you ate a whole bunch of hot dogs and
Če
processed
jeste-
red meats in your life,
Veliko predelanega mesa,
how much of it went to your left chest as to your right chest?
koliko beljakovin je bilo na levi strani v primerjavi s tistim, ki so prišle na desno.
That's the same.
Isto.
So why is the cancer here?
Zakaj je rak prav tam?
Now, it's not wrong to change your diet.
Ni slabo spremeniti prehrano.
It's a good thing to do,
To je dobro.
but it doesn't address the question, why is it here?
Ampak ne odgovarja na vprašanje, zakaj je ravno tu.
Right? We still have that question.
Še vedno je ostalo vprašanje.
So chemicals can cause dysfunction in a certain type of cell first,
Kemikalije najprej vplivajo na nekatere tipe celic.
Because certain cells use certain chemicals faster.
Ker nekatere celice prej uporabijo iste kemikalije.
But like inheritance, it should be relatively even across that type of cell.
Ampak prav kakor smo prej govorili, morala bi koncentracija biti posod enaka.
Right? And chemicals can be used as a part of a disease process.
Kemikalije so del procesa obolenja.
Right? And it's as a cofactor.
To je torej eden od vzrokov.
And so if I take the sandcastle,
če zdaj vzamemo ta primer,
and I try to take the sand away,
in vzamem kaj mivke proč,
well, then I can take the sandcastle away.
Torej gre proč tudi grad.
But have I done anything about the sandcastle builder?
Ampak ali sem karkoli naredil temu, ki je zgradil grad?
No.
Ne.
So when you have a plaque in your artery,
Ko imate usedline na arterijah,
and I put you on cholesterol medication,
in vam dam zdravila proti kolesterolu,
all I'm doing is trying to deal with the sand.
se trudim okoli mivke.
And the same thing with the gout,
Enako je s putiko
right? And the change in diet.
in spremembo prehrane.
But what about the sandcastle builder?
Ampak kaj naredimo tistemu, ki je naredil grad?
All right. So there can be physical trauma.
Lahko se zgodi fizična telesna poškodba.
And when there's trauma, it will damage the structure.
Ko se to zgodi, se bo struktura spremenila.
And when the structure is damaged, the function is going to be damaged.
Torej, na isti način se bo poškodovalo delovanje, spremenilo.
And trauma can be localized.
Travma je lahko na nekem področju samo.
Right? You can smash one finger,
Lahko si poškodujete en prst
and the other fingers are fine.
in drugi prsti so v redu.
Right? And if the damage is beyond the capacity to heal,
Če je škoda prevelika, da bi se telo pozdravilo,
then the effect can be permanent.
je učinek trajen.
Right? So, if you hit that finger really hard,
Če se zelo udarite
and the end of the finger goes poof,
in odpade vam prst,
right? Yeah, well, you're going to end up with a shorter finger,
boste imeli krajši prst.
right? But it should be able to heal
Ampak se bo poškodba zacelila
and not bleed forever.
in ne bo krvavitev zavedna.
All right, now there is the nervous system.
Živčni sistem,
And the nervous system is wonderful.
to je čudovita zadeva.
You got a spot up in the brain
Imate en del v možganih,
that's
točko,
connected to a part of the body,
ki je povezana z enim delom telesa,
and a spot in the body
in neko drugo točko,
that's connected to a point in the brain,
ki je povezana z neko drugo
so
možgani.
that everything in the body
In vse v našem telesu
is connected to somewhere in the brain,
ima svojo točko v možganih.
so that the brain doesn't have to be in your toes,
Torej, ni treba možganom biti v vašem prstih na nogi,
but through the nerves,
ampak s pomočjo povezave živčne.
the brain can know what's going on in the toes.
Možgani vedo, kaj se dogaja v prstih.
And you have a nerve ending going to that joint.
Imate živčni končiček, ki gre tudi v ta sklep.
And it goes from that joint,
In iz njega
and it goes to a spot in the upper inner portion of your brain.
je povezava, torej v sredini glave nekje se konča.
And if you have a certain signal that's coming through that part of the brain,
In če imate določen signal, ki prihaja iz te točke,
then it'll end up in that part of the body.
bo končalo v tistem delu telesa.
And now that signal is picked up by living cells around the joint.
In ta signal pravzaprav zaznavajo žive celice v tem sklepu.
And those living cells concentrate the uric acid.
In te celice začnejo koncentrirati sečno kislino.
It's not that uric acid is having a party in the toe.
Nimajo take, torej, kislina nima parti v tem
Right? It's that
delu telesa.
the mind is communicating with the cells in that area
Je poslal sporočilo v ta del telesa.
They concentrate the uric acid,
Da koncentrira sečno kislino.
it crystallizes,
In to kristalizira
and now you have gout.
in zdaj imate putiko.
And you have a nerve ending going to that part of the artery,
Vi imate tudi živčne končiče v tej arteriji, na tem mestu,
and it has a signal coming from the brain
in dobiva signal iz možganov
going to that part,
in pride do sem.
and now it's communicating with cells in the area,
In zdaj celice v tem področju zaznavajo zadevo
and they concentrate the cholesterol.
in koncentrirajo holesterol.
And in the tumor,
Kar zadeva tumor,
there's a nerve going to the center of that
tudi
tumor.
tukaj živec pride do njega.
And the research shows
Raziskave kažejo,
that if you cut the nerve going to the center of the tumor,
če prerežete živec, ki vodi do možganov,
the tumor changes how it behaves.
se spremeni obnašanje tumorja.
Right? And there was a really good review article a few years ago
En članek je bil izdan nekaj let nazaj,
right, that showed that every step in cancer from the beginning to the end
in je pokazala, da je vsak korak v razvoju raka od začetka do konca.
the nervous system is somehow involved.
V vsakem koraku je nekako živčevje vpleteno.
And the mind can control processes.
Lahko kontrolira procese,
It regulates the levels of things in the body.
regulira, koliko česa imamo v telesu,
Its effects can be throughout the body
in njegove posledice so lahko povsod v telesu.
or in a very specific part of the body,
Ali samo tam, specifično.
right? And it controls the immune system's function.
Nadzoruje delovanje imunskega sistema,
And so therefore the mind is a major controller of inflammation.
torej je glavni kontrolor vnetij.
Right? So how much of the dysfunction in the body is the result of inheritance?
Koliko torej napačnega delovanja v telesu je povzročeno z dednostjo?
How much of it is the result of chemicals?
Koliko je tega, za koliko je vzrok kemikalija?
How much of it is the result of physical trauma?
Ali pa telesnih poškodb?
And how much of it is the result of the mind?
In za koliko tega je kriv
Well, when you start researching it,
Ko začnete raziskovati,
you realize that 90% of it is coming through the mind.
ugotovite, da je za 90% bolezni vzrok
And the other factors contribute the 10%.
Vsi drugi faktori samo 10%.
So our major issue is an issue of the mind.
Torej, mi imamo največ težav z umom.
And when we understand that, then we need to focus on the mind.
Če to razumemo, se moramo osredotočiti na
Right? But now, I know when I say that,
Vem, da ko to rečem,
then people start saying, well, what, are you saying it's all in my head?
pa kaj boste rekli, da je vse v moji glavi?
No,
Ne.
no, very real disease going on in the body,
Resne zadeve se dogajajo v telesu, pod drugod.
right? And when the mind creates disease or dysfunction in the body,
Ko se zaradi dogajajo težave, bolezni v telesu,
it's never on purpose,
to ni namenoma.
it's not conscious,
Tega se ne zavedamo.
there's no blame for it,
In nismo za to odgovorni.
and the person who's sick should never be judged,
Bolnega človeka nikoli ne obsojamo za to, da je bolan.
right? Only helped,
Samo mu moramo pomagati.
right? And the issue behind it is something that we're all born with.
Ozadje je nekaj, s čimer smo se vsi rodili.
And there's no blame for how we were born.
In ne moremo biti odgovorni za to, kako smo se rodili.
But if we don't know where the cause is,
Če pa ne veste, kaj je vzrok,
then we just play around with effects,
potem se samo igramo s posledicami.
and it's frustrating
In to nas muči,
because we don't get real solutions.
ker ne dobimo pravih rešitev.
But there's a problem
Težava pa je,
and there's a fix,
in tudi lahko se reši.
right? Now, there's often a combination of factors,
Velikokrat gre za kombinacijo nekih faktorjev.
right? There can be the involvement of genetics and chemicals and so on,
Lahko so vključeni dednost, kemikalije in drugo.
but the origin in the vast majority of cases is the
Ampak v
mind.
največjem delu, največji večini primerov je
And so to solve the problem, you don't just address the chemicals.
Torej, da bi rešili težavo, ne ukvarjate se samo s kemikalijami.
You don't just address the behaviors,
Ne mislite samo na vedenje,
but you got to go deeper than that.
ampak morate iti globlje.
You got to go to the origin,
Morate iti do začetkov.
right? So these are some things that I was never taught in medical school.
To so stvari, ki se jih nisem naučil nikoli na fakulteti.
Right. And tomorrow evening, we're going to look at things that science does not know about you.
Jutri zvečer se bomo ukvarjali s tem, česar znanost ne ve o vas.
And we're going to seek to understand the mind better
In bomo poskušali zapopasti malo bolje.
and why we think the way that we do
In zakaj mislimo tako, kakor mislimo.
and getting into what can be done about it.
In se bomo napotili v smeri rešitve.
So that's all for tonight.
Za nocoj to vse.
It's
It isn't just...